Okay.
I've started the recording now.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Casey. Thank you, Donna. I had a little bit of difficulty joining as well. I'm sorry if I added to the confusion. I kept joining and hanging up, joining and hanging up, but I finally got in.
Great.
So thank you for all of your help. Okay, everyone, thank you so much for joining us today. I would like to call to order this meeting of the Los Altos Parks and Recreation Commission on Wednesday, January 13th, 2021 at 7:09 p.m. And Casey, please, would you be able to establish a quorum?
Yes. Chair Lindemeyer,
Yay.
Vice Chair Spielman,
Present.
Commissioner Daly,
Here.
Commissioner Ye,
Present.
Commissioner Corrigan,
Here.
and Commissioner Morris.
Here.
All are present.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. And would you be able to please announce who from city staff is in attendance?
I think Donna is going to do some announcements and introductions, so I will let her take the lead at this point.
Okay.
Thank you. Donna Leahy, Recreation Community Services Director, and we have Jaime Rodriguez, who's from the Complete Streets Commission Liaison. And I believe also Jamie Chu, our Recreation Manager, is also present.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. Thanks for joining us tonight. If everyone can please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands,
One nation under God.
God,
Indivisible.
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Sorry, Casey, I was a little quick on that one. Okay. So I would like to take a moment tonight to welcome a new commissioner to Parks. Sally Meadows has joined us. And Sally, we're really excited that you've joined us, and we look forward to serving the community with you.
Well, thank you for that, Chair Lindemeyer. New council member, not new commissioner, or else you'd have a full house already. But so I know you all do great work, and I know you do a lot of work. So I feel fortunate to be able to listen in. I don't intend to. This is your group and your work, so I don't intend to participate. But if you have a question or whatever, you can always ask or reach out, not during a meeting, so I am available.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And I would also like to welcome the new interim city mayor, Brad Kilger. Welcome to the Parks meeting. It's good to have you here. And I thought that we could spend a minute and go around introducing ourselves as well to Sally and Brad.
Oh, good. Ooh, City Manager Brad Kilger. Great.
What we'd like to do, if we could just start, we'll start with Commissioner Daly, and I'll call your names out. And if you could just do an introduction of yourself, how long you've been on the commission, and what your interests are. We'll start with you, Commissioner Daly.
So congratulations and welcome, Council Member Meadows. Good job in the campaign. And welcome to Interim City Manager Brad Kilger. My name's Pete Daly. I've been on the Parks and Recreation Commission for a little over 2 years. My subcommittees that I'm currently involved in reflect my interests, although I have more interests than just the subcommittees, but it might be worthwhile to know that I'm working on the Halsey House subcommittee, working on the Grant Park subcommittee, both of which are sort of dealing with a lot of issues right now, sort of front burners. Those are front burner subcommittees for sure. Also on a subcommittee with Teresa Morris, trying to move forward justice, equity, diversity, and inclusion in our parks and broader city. Other interests are my kids. I've got a kid at Mountain View High, and I've got a kid who's at Oak. So we are South Los Altos residents, and we've lived in Los Altos for, 10 years or so.
Thank you, Commissioner Daly. Commissioner Corrigan, we're going to go in alphabetical order.
Okay. Welcome as well. And I joined the Parks and Rec Commission in September, so I'm, I guess, the newest member. I guess I've been a Los Altos resident for a little over 20 years. Son was born and raised here and off to college now. I was involved in the Boy Scout organization for 10 years, including being, like a committee chair of Boy Scouts and a pack leader with Cub Scouts. So I have a lot of affinity with that organization. And I've kind of raised, I'm not really active in any of the various subcommittees yet, but I've raised an interest in areas like the skate park, the open space, sort of Halsey House, Redwood Grove, outdoor adult fitness, Los Altos Pool, collaboration, joint use with school districts, and Grant Park. So any or all of those I'm hoping to become active in as needs arise. And my main interest area is to make sure we try to get as much resident feedback, motivating our decisions as possible, as opposed to my particular personal interests or any of the commissioners' interests. How do we make sure we make resident-based decisions is kind of my hope, and I'm sure we all share the same goal. So, thanks.
Thank you. I just want to announce to Interim City Manager Brad Killage that you can now open your video if you'd like. Chair Lindemeyer.
Okay. So my name is Tanya, and I'm really interested in health and wellness. And also, I'm a software engineer, so I'm really interested in algorithms and problem solving. And I'm incredibly interested in being a part of an amazing community and being able to shape the world that we live in. And I'm really excited to be able to serve on parks and to be able to work with our community and do that. Working with parks has been really amazing. Every commissioner that I've worked with and the staff are really community minded. And I feel like we do really good work here, and we try to keep the people in our community in mind with everything that we do. Some of our accomplishments in the last couple years have been to ban the use of synthetic herbicides in our parks, to recommend a commemorative park amenity program, benches and trees. And then one of the most incredible things that we've done, that we've been working on, not us, but Parks has been working on for over 10 years, is off-leash hours for dogs in our parks. And that's something that we were able to accomplish recently. And I'm really proud of our commissioners for the work that they did on that. So they worked with the community and staff to implement 2 pilot programs for off-leash hours for dogs in Hillview and Heritage Oaks. So I just think that our commission is really incredible to work with and motivated. And I like seeing the things that we've been able to accomplish in such a short amount of time. It's pretty cool.
Thank you. Commissioner Morris.
Good evening, and yes, welcome Councilwoman Meadows. I almost said Commissioner again. I'm used to you in that position. And I hope I'm not butchering our interim city manager's name, but welcome Mr. Kilger. And my first name is Teresa. I've been on the Park and Rec Commission for a couple of years. I'm sorry, I'm not good with dates and times. It all blurs after a bit. I am very proud also of all of our hard work on the dog parks, and that we have a pilot program started, and it will hopefully move things along and figure out if it's going to work in our parks or not work in our parks. So it's very exciting to have that done. I think we have a terrific commission. We all seem to be working quite well together. We have an amazing leader in Donna Legge, and Casey's just awesome with what she does for us as well. Just an amazing Park and Rec department and team that supports us in what we're doing. And I feel like we're very lucky to have them. So I feel very fortunate to land in the position of being on the Park Commission. I've been in Los Altos for a little over 20 years. I've been very active in my neighborhood. I'm often considered a leader, and people reach out to me in the Loyola Corners area. So I have a pretty good finger on the pulse of what's going on, at least in Loyola Corners, with the more outspoken people in that area, and some of the quieter ones too. I too, like Commissioner Corrigan, have the desire to have what residents want, what they desire for their parks and their city to bubble up to the top. I think of Los Altos more of a town, a small town, than a city. So I think I approach a lot of my ideas and my thinking that way, because that's what I hear from the residents a lot. So I'm super excited that you're here for the interim city manager job, and look forward to meeting you face to face sometime during that period. And thanks for the opportunity to share.
Thank you, Commissioner Morris. Vice Chair Spielman.
Hello. First of all, I want to welcome Councilmember Meadows. Thank you for being our new liaison to Council. Thank you for your contributions last night in the City Council meeting, dealing with one of the challenging issues that we are facing here at Park with Halsey House. City Manager Brad, welcome. You are very much needed, and we're glad you're with us. And if this commission can work with you, we would love the opportunity to hear your thoughts, and also Councilmember Meadows' thoughts about how we can better serve the community. I have been with the commission for over a year and a half. I have worked with the dog parks and residents and all activities trying to bring about some kind of resolution to having off-leash hours. Very proud of the commission making recommendations to council. I thought we were a great team, and I thought we did very well together. And so that will continue. And with respect to seeing how one of the parks that will be implemented for off-leash hours will do, we're not going to stop with just saying our work is done, but we want to monitor and make sure that Hillview goes well, and we want to know how it goes. I've also been involved with Halsey House, part of the subcommittee with council member. I'm looking for him, Pete Daly. He's still with us, hiding in his bookshelf. And I particularly have a lot of delight in working on this commission. I think we have very committed, hardworking individuals. We're all volunteers, of course, and I think we are committed to get things done. I've lived in the city since 1980, which is too long, probably. Our kids grew up and went to schools here. I was active coaching kids for years and years. So I was on a lot of the fields, the sports fields, involved with the field usage, getting the fields prepared. And so I care very much about parks. I think they are a vital asset to any community. And our challenge is to use them well and to see if there's any way to increase parkland in the city of Los Altos, which I think is a big challenge. So I'm glad that these new folks are with us, and thank you. We look forward to a great year.
Thank you. Commissioner Ye.
Thank you, Donna. Hi, City Manager Kilger and Council Member Meadows. Welcome to our little group here. My name is Jan. I was the prior chair prior to Tanya, and I think you'll enjoy being around this group. It's a diverse kind of. Everyone has their own view, and it's great that everyone expresses it, because we kind of get a lot of things done by hearing everyone and then kind of making the decision that works best for the city, as opposed to what works best for each individual person, which is a good thing to see. I don't know, not much. I'm not too involved with the city other than Park. I was born and raised here, over by kind of near Block School. I still live in the city, and I'm looking forward to working with you guys.
Thank you, everyone. Okay, Chair Lindemeyer, it's your meeting.
Okay, thank you everyone for that. Okay, so let's see. Director Legge, do we have any announcements?
No, the first item is public comments on items not on the agenda.
Okay, so at this time, Casey, do we have anyone for public comments for items not on the agenda?
I think we need to approve the minutes of the last meeting first, don't we?
No, that comes
No?
next.
Okay, that comes next. Sorry, I'm sorry.
No worries.
At this time, I've had no requests for public comment for items not on the agenda, and there are no hands raised by our attendees.
Okay, great. And so items for consideration, action. The first item, approve the minutes of the special meeting on November 16th. And let's see. And we also had a special Parks and Rec joint meeting on December 1st as well.
That was a presentation, information only.
Okay.
It was more of a workshop.
Okay, thank you for the clarification.
No worries.
Okay, do we have any amendments to the minutes from November 16th, 2020?
There is one that I'd like to make. I did attend the meeting, and it was shown that I wasn't there. So if you wouldn't mind correcting that for us, Casey, I would appreciate it.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you just for a moment, Commissioner or Vice Chair Spielman. What did you say?
Yeah, I did attend that meeting, so I was marked as absent.
If you'll notice under the Pledge of Allegiance, it has you joining the meeting at 7:06 p.m.
Yeah, okay.
Commissioner Ye?
Yeah, now that Jonathan's not here, because he usually does this, there's a misspelling on page 2 at the bottom. It says Commissioner Ye rejoined the meeting. I don't really care, but it's just, Jonathan usually does it.
I do care. I will make that correction.
Okay.
Okay, do we have any more amendments? Okay, may we please have a roll call vote?
We need a motion to approve the minutes.
Oh, we do.
Move
Do
to
we have a
approve.
motion?
I have a motion from Commissioner Daly. Is there a second?
I'll second them.
Commissioner Morris? Okay, the roll call vote, Chair Lindemeyer,
Yes.
Vice Chair Spielman,
Yes.
Commissioner Daly,
Yep.
Commissioner Ye,
Yes.
Commissioner Corrigan,
Yes.
and Commissioner Morris.
Yes.
That has been approved unanimously.
Great, thank you. Okay, And let's see, the next item for consideration action is number 2, Complete Streets Master Plan Project, Task Force Invitation.
Thank you, Chair Lindemeyer. At this time, I'd like to introduce Jaime Rodriguez, and he will be providing a report for you to receive and on the Complete Streets Master Plan project, and consider the assignment of a Parks and Recreation Commissioner to the task force. Thank you, Jaime.
Thank you very much. Just to check in, can you guys hear me? Just to do a quick double check. Great. And can you see my PowerPoint presentation on your screens? Great. Okay, so I'm going to walk you guys through this project. The Complete Streets Master Plan is what we're anticipating to be a priority project for the City Council as they're finalizing their priorities for the coming year. It's actually a project that we've been having in the planning phase for about a year now, and we had a little bit of a lag during staff changes in the beginning and middle part of 2020, but we got the project back online in the fall. The project actually kicked off around October. We brought in a consultant team called Alta Planning and Design to help the city. And just for quick reference for you on the commission side, I actually am also a consultant to the city, and I really focus on helping in the transportation projects. And my role is to serve as the project manager for this project as it's being implemented by Alta Planning and Design. The project includes 4 study elements. It's going to include a merge and update of the city's bicycle and pedestrian transportation plans, which are currently separate documents. The bike plan was last updated in 2012, and the pedestrian master plan was developed in 2015. It's fairly common for cities to update their bicycle and pedestrian master plans and ultimately merge them like we are now, and to do that about every 5 to 7 years. Usually when we're going after grant funding for transportation projects or bike focus projects, whatever the case may be, they want to make sure the projects are current within a 5-year master plan document. So the city's overdue for at a minimum updating its bicycle transportation plan, and merging it with the pedestrian plan is really what we're aiming to do with this project. The next element we're going to be working on is developing what are called conceptual plan line drawings for street improvements, where we're recommending new bicycle facilities and pedestrian facilities as part of the bike and ped plan update. So the development of concept plan lines is really important because it lets us have really early discussions with residents to talk about what are proposed improvements that could happen on their street, try and build consensus around those improvements in an early planning phase, so we can quickly turn those into construction improvement plans as part of other projects like the annual street resurfacing program. The third element of the project is focused around safe routes to school. The city has existing what are called walk and roll maps. Those are documents that are distributed at the start of each school year to encourage parents and students to ride or walk on certain streets to and from school as they're commuting from home. And we will also be doing what are called hotspot development maps, which are trying to identify really quick, simple improvements, low-hanging fruit type things that we can implement within a 1 to 2 year period following the approval of the plan itself. And lastly, is to develop a community engagement plan and help us kind of implement that within the community. So those are the 4 basic elements of the project. And what we're looking to do tonight is to ask you to consider assigning one of your commissioners to our task force for this project. We're looking to have this task force meet about 3 or 4 times between February through July, when the majority of the plan is actually being developed and presented mostly to the Complete Streets Commission. If you're ever interested in updates at your commission, please feel free to just reach out to your liaison and have her reach to us, and we'll be happy to do so. But to give you a little bit more detail, again, the bicycle and pedestrian transportation plan really will focus on developing both existing and proposed bicycle facility and pedestrian facility network maps for the city. Those will be the blueprints and kind of guiding documents that we use to implement projects on roadways, whether it be simple shared road type improvements like signage and markings, or new bike lanes, or something a little bit more aggressive like buffered bike lanes, which are currently under construction along Almond Avenue at Los Altos High School. And more importantly, there's going to be a lot of recommendations for projects. We want to actually identify and prioritize those projects within the plan. So we may have a list of 500 projects, but on a 5-year basis, before we update the plan again, we may be only able to implement maybe a couple of dozen projects, and that's okay. That's just life, and it costs a lot of money to implement projects, as we want to be cost effective and identify the projects that makes the most sense for the community. And more importantly, what we really want to do with this project, which really hadn't happened with the city before last year, is we want to align implementation of the bike and ped plan with other city projects, like I mentioned earlier. What we did for the first time last year was really use the street resurfacing project to implement new bike lane projects. And that's something that the city didn't do previously. We always just put back in kind striping that was there. Those were always missed opportunities to implement bicycle facilities for the community. And so we want to implement that type of a policy and culture change within the city as part of this project.
Jaime?
Yes.
I'm sorry for interrupting. Are you still on the original slide that is the title slide?
I am not. It's not transitioning. Thank you for letting me know. Let me stop share, and I will do that one more time. PowerPoint. Can you see that now?
I see your Windows background, basically, it looks like. No, it's a Mac background. I see your Mac background, desktop.
Okay, let's do this one more time. Escape.
It's okay, but if the slides are not going to show, we might as well just stay in. Okay, now I can see your.
Okay, rather than try and go to animation, let me just expand the screen so you guys can.
Yeah, it's in slide sorter mode.
There you go. Okay. Okay, so I was here. That's what I was walking through as I was talking about the bicycle and pedestrian transportation plan. And I'm going to try one more time to animate because I actually have animation here that I wanted to walk you through. So let me play from the current slide. Our safe routes to school work will update what are called our walk and roll maps. Every school in Los Altos has a walk and roll map that was already developed about 8 or 9 years ago. And these maps show the recommended walking and biking routes to each school. We want to update those maps. And I'm doing animation, so did you see your screen change? Yes? Okay, great. So this is an example of a walk and roll map in Los Gatos that was developed probably about 3 years ago now. And one of the things that's on this map that wasn't on the previous map that we showed you earlier is we actually have, in addition to walking and biking routes, we also have recommended driving routes, because as much as we want everybody to walk and ride, it doesn't work for everybody. When we're not in a COVID world, people do need to drop their kids off while they're going to work, and that's just something that we need to accommodate. So we want to include recommended driving drop-off locations on the maps as well. And my last animation, did you see your screen change there? Yes. The last thing we want to develop here are what are called hotspot improvements lists. This is an example of a same type of map in Los Gatos. And what we did here is, as part of all of our walk and roll map development and outreach with parents and teachers, we identified all of the simple low-hanging fruit improvements that could be implemented. And Los Gatos was able to implement almost all of the improvements for all of their schools within a 12 to 24-month period. And we're looking to replicate similar successes in Los Altos. So that's what we're going to do as part of the Safe Routes to School updates. Are you seeing my screen change? All right, yes. Great. The third thing, again, is the development of these, what are called conceptual plan line drawings. Again, the purpose of these is really to help us engage with residents. We're starting this process out actually at the end of the month in January as part of the Complete Streets Commission. And we want to develop early planning documents that look something like this. This is what we developed for Almond Avenue through a similar process last spring and summer. And we took those documents and turned them into construction drawings like what you're seeing on your screen here. And that's what we want to do with all the concept plan line drawings, get them to a planning phase where we get them approved by residents, by the commission, ultimately the city council. And as we're implementing these projects with the resurfacing program or on their own as individual projects, have documents that we can turn into construction build projects right away. And then this is the list of all of the the street locations, whether they're corridors or direct intersections where we're doing plan line work. This was in your staff report, so if you have any questions regarding any of the drawings, please feel free to let me know. And lastly, the last thing that the Alta team is doing for us is really guiding us through a public engagement process. I don't think I touched on this too much in your staff report, but Alta is building for the city a new project website for the Complete Streets Master Plan, and that will include an interactive GIS kind of map tool where residents can actually drop a pin and say, hey, I have a concern regarding vehicular traffic movements, or I have a concern regarding biking or walking or school commuting or whatever the issue is, and they'll be able to code the locations by location and by type of concern, and all that information will come back to us. Alta does something like this fairly regularly. I used to work for the city of Palo Alto. We did a similar thing several years ago, and then I think we got somewhere close to about 2,000 comments. When we did something similar for Los Gatos, we received about 1,200 comments. So, you know, in a community like Los Altos, we get a lot of well-educated residents and that are tech savvy. I would imagine we're going to get probably a few thousand comments through this effort. And we are planning to launch the website and interactive mapping tool as part of a study session that we're doing with the Commission, Complete Streets Commission, next week on Wednesday evening. My last slide here, did you see a slide change? The last slide here is our Complete Streets Master Plan Task Force. So we're covering a lot of elements as part of this project. It's going to be a really important master plan document for the city. And we wanted to make sure that we were getting as much input as possible before we take documents for public review at a commission or other workshop. And so we want to put together this kind of ad hoc task force comprised of different members that'll meet between 3 or 4 times starting in February during daytime hours, likely over Zoom. And this is the proposed makeup of the task force. We've already got 2 assigned commissioners from the Complete Streets Commission. We're looking for 1 member from the Parks Commission. We've already outreached to the Youth Commission to try and get some input from there as well. And we're going to be going out to them in early February to, actually I think it's February 2nd and I accidentally typed in 22. We also already have a council member liaison, Councilmember Weinberg, the new council member, who's the liaison for the Complete Streets Commission, will be on the task force. We got 1 person from Greentown, Los Altos. We've found 1 really strong biking resident named Alon. He lives in South Los Altos, but really commutes all over town with his family. So we wanted to get at least 1 non-appointed commission or person on the team, and that's Alon. We're probably going to be tapping on different people as we're going through the school sections and finding different people from each school to help us as we're reviewing different documents. And then lastly, Kim Mosley from the Los Altos Downtown Chamber will be on the commission as well. So with that, I'll end my presentation and invite you guys to ask any questions or hopefully assign someone in your commission to participate on our task force. Back to you.
Jaime, thank you so much for your presentation. I'd like to open it up to commissioners' questions. I have a question about what is the budget for something like this?
So we originally were looking at about $150,000 when we planned this. I think where we ended up at was about $175,000, somewhere in that ballpark, give or take a few $1,000s. And we actually were originally planning to add an additional task into this project to do a transit study to look at potentially developing future community shuttle routes or identifying amenities that we could deploy at public transit stops or a future shuttle stop like benches and lighting, but we just didn't have enough funding. This project is partially funded by a grant that we have from the VTA. $75,000 of the $175 is coming from the grant. The other $100,000 is being funded out of the CIP.
Great, thank you very much. Vice Chair Spielman.
Jaime, thank you. I can say that you're well on your way, and that's impressive to me. I have a couple of questions.
I can't hear you too well. I apologize. I'll try and
Yeah,
increasing my audio here. But
probably my
I apologize.
AirPods. So let me know if you can't hear me. Do you? I think what you're doing is valuable to our community. So don't get me wrong. The questions that I have are in part related to your goals and your priorities. Are they established at this point in time? That are they written down so that you've defined what you're trying to do and what your priorities are?
Thank you. So I think from the standpoint of what we're looking for deliverables, that's fairly well defined. I think what the makeup of those deliverables will look like, though, is something that's going to be shaped specifically by this task force. So I'll just use as an example, I'll do 2 quick examples. The walk and roll maps are fairly straightforward. It's a map with walking routes, and it's a list of locations that we want to do improvements on. That's really simple. But when we're looking at the bicycle and pedestrian transportation plan element, like that's much more complicated. There's going to be a lot more opportunities for different types of tasks and sections within that report. And what is in there, I think this task force will have a lot of opportunities to provide development on. There'll be likely a lot of recommendations for future programs, policies, and other elements that would likely feed into a future general plan update. So for example, we do a certain amount of bike racks, for every new development. That's one simple example. But you know what? We don't do any electric bike facilities for bike parking. That might be something that we want to consider as part of a future policy and recommendation that would ultimately impact other types of projects within the city that are built by the private sector. So a lot of little things like that will pop up during the development of the master plan. And this task force, I think, will have a really early say in kind of what those future programs, policies, and projects are. And then ultimately those will be guided by the commission and the council, but the task force will be the first sounding board for ideas.
Yeah, I think your challenge is going to be to limit it to what is kind of priority items, because I could see a lot more needs than you could possibly meet with the budget that you have. At first blush, I was thinking, well, why do you need somebody from Parks and Rec on your team? And then I thought, well, gosh, when a couple of us were working on dog parks in one location in Heritage Oaks, we realized there's a parking problem there for residents. And then I started to think, yeah, I think Park can provide a liaison. I think we should, because I can see reasons why we could contribute perspectives that you may not have. So I appreciate you inviting us to be part.
Do we have any more commissioner questions? Commissioner Morris.
Yes, thank you. So Jaime, I'm curious about how much time do you think whatever commissioner from our team joins will be putting into this task force?
Sure. Yeah, so we're looking at, again, between 3 to 4 task force meetings starting in February, probably the 2nd or 3rd week of that month of February. And then those meetings we anticipate to last about 2 hours. We hope to be able to share literature, almost like you get staff reports for your commission meetings now, and share those documents with the task force members at least few days to a week before the meeting, so they have some background information to help make those meetings a little bit more productive. So I would budget on, say, about 4 hours, per meeting, so maybe 16 hours total over several months.
And I thought I read that it would go, and I thought I even heard you say it would go beyond February. So the meetings are in February, but did I make that up that it was going to be longer than that?
Well, the development of the whole CSMP project will probably last through into the fall of 2021. What I meant to say is that the task force will meet about 4 times between February and probably July. So maybe one in February, one in April. That's what I meant.
Thank you. All right, that's what I understood when I read it. I just wanted to clarify. All right, thank you.
Vice Chair Spielman.
So will your work include issues like safety for crossing lights in critical areas? Does that fall under your purview for what you're trying to accomplish?
Yeah. So again, part of the public engagement tool that we're launching on Wednesday next week, the 21st, as part of the Complete Streets Commission's study session, is that project website and interactive mapping online tool that people can give us notes on regarding either concerns of safety or operations, or requests or recommendations for different types of projects. All of that will cover a very broad brush, and people can provide comments on anything that's of interest to them. It'll be Alta's job, it's a big portion of their job, to go through and kind of query and organize all that input for us, and then use that to help us develop recommended projects. So yes, any type of project that we're hearing concerns on will likely come out of that public engagement process. We won't necessarily have a response to every one of those items. You know, we're doing a master plan, so we do plan to, where we can, do some types of community demonstration projects, and we're hoping to use our upcoming street resurfacing project to do more types of treatments, so that when we're doing this plan, we can say, hey, by the way, we have this type of idea for like a buffered bike lane, and you know what, you can go to Almond Avenue in front of Los Altos High School and see that starting later in the spring. And that way people, as we're giving them references to types of improvements, we can point to not only things that happen in other communities around us, but really things that are already existing within the community.
Commissioner Corrigan. You're muted, Commissioner Corrigan.
Sorry, most common phrase in this era. I was wondering, does this include things that could be more controversial in neighborhoods, like speed bumps and rerouting traffic flow, or is it more, bike paths, walk paths kind of scope of this? And
everything I do is controversial, it seems like, in Los Altos. Anything related to traffic always ends up that way. But in general, we're really trying to be proactive, and that may come back to bite us a little later. So I'll give you a quick example. The conceptual plan line drawings. We are in a sense going to be recommending proactive traffic calming measures that some communities or some streets haven't asked for. And so that in itself is going to cause controversy, and I think that we have a really good team. We have a lot of experience. I have a lot of experience in dealing with residents and kind of guiding them through that process of why we're doing what we are. A lot of the projects that are in the concept plan line program are corridors that we're already planning. Was that me, or okay? That wasn't me. That was somebody else. And so we're likely going to be seeing movement on some of these projects that we're doing plan line drawings for already, because we're already going to be working on them in the next 5 years as part of a different CIP project. So, part of having the early planning discussions that I referred to earlier really helps us, so that when we have a project that we're getting ready to build within a year later, it's easier to go back to the community and say, hey, just as a reminder, these are some of the things that we previously worked with you on, and that we'll keep out for people to provide comment on continually.
Well, and just a second comment then, because I was curious about the plan for community engagement, if that's part of this brief period of whatever, 4 to 6 months, because at least my experience in Los Altos is I see things occur in my neighborhood that I never was aware were actually happening, and then it's too late. And that creates controversy. I think it's a common scenario. So my question is, when we actually how early do you bring the community in versus having a map available that people may not even be aware of? It sounds like a great opportunity for feedback on the map you're talking about. So I guess I'm wondering, mainly in this phase, is there a major community engagement effort, an organized effort, or is it more, that's not part of the scope of the park, of the liaison's role to go out and organize community engagement?
So I'll give you a quick example of what we're doing. So we have about 12 outreach events planned between the first meeting being our study session next week through September, when we hopefully take this as a draft plan to the city council, maybe sometime in the fall of 2021. And our next meeting is actually going to be on the 27th of January, which is the normal, regularly scheduled commission meeting for the Complete Streets Commission. But we're going to have an online workshop for the hour and a half before the Complete Streets Commission, where we're outreaching to residents, where we're proposing concept plan line work, and we're sending mailers to those residents, a couple of weeks in advance. One of the things that we had a lot of success in last year for one of our other projects along Fremont Avenue, I don't think that you guys have used this outreach tool yet, is we are building a partnership with a company called iConstituent, and that is an online text messaging service that lets us at the city send out invitations or notices to residents within Los Altos to tell them, hey, we have a Complete Streets Commission that's coming up on the 21st, and that'll hit about probably 10 to 12,000 residents, just because they're already registered with their cell phone in some form for something that's available online. And we plan on using that to notify residents to participate in the meetings. I don't want to get too much into kind of what those meetings are, because we're going to cover those at the study session with the commission next week. But there's going to be a lot of engagement opportunities, but it's less about having meetings and how we're letting people know that those meetings are taking place. We'll have ads starting in the Los Altos Town Crier starting next week for meetings, at least a week before they happen. One of the things that we've also done that's been really successful for us for transportation projects is you should just put out sandwich boards on the street up and down the corridor where we have a project, and as people are out walking and biking, for exercise, they see those notices, because they may see a notice from the city and just rip it and throw it in the trash if they get it at home, or they may ignore or not register on the text message, or they won't read the town crier. But people are out walking and biking regularly through COVID. It happens I see it more and more in all the communities that I consult to and Los Altos. And I think of all the things we've done, those sandwich boards are really cost-effective ways for us to market and promote meetings.
Thank you.
Commissioner Morris.
So I have a question that doesn't exactly have to do with this, but I'd like to know how we could let listeners or people who might read our minutes in the future, how they can make sure that they get on that contact list that you're talking about, where text messages are sent. So if you could provide some information about how they can do that, it would be great. And then I have a little bit of feedback for you regarding the sandwich boards on Fremont. I happen to have passed those, the area between Grant Road and 85, and I sent out emails to neighborhood people, and every single one of them said, thank you so much, I would have never seen those signs, because I don't drive there anymore because of COVID. So I think it's good to make sure that where you're going with some of this stuff is actually reaching the people. But I'd like to get information about how that texting system works, and so that people can get signed up for it, and we can let our people that are here know as well.
No problem. What we can do is, once the service is launched, we can share that with your staff liaison, and then they can return that to you at one of your upcoming future meetings.
Thank you. And also, good job on the speed bumps on Cuesta. The neighbors are really happy about it. I know others aren't, but off topic.
Okay, any more questions? Okay, should we open this up to public comment? Because it's an item for consideration.
Yes. At this time, Chair Lindemeyer, I do not have any public comment for this item. I did want to bring to your attention, I missed a message from someone who had a comment for items not on the agenda. So once we have completely closed item 2, Donna and I agreed that with your permission, we would return to that section.
Sure, that sounds great. Okay, well then let's go ahead with commissioner discussion.
So do you, sorry.
Yeah, so is anyone interested in volunteering? I
am.
think it sounds great. So
I'm
I
interested.
could open up discussion for it.
I am also interested, but I will defer to Commissioner Morris.
Okay. I have a question of Jaime. Are these meetings, the task force meetings, open to the public or only when you have your regular meetings?
No, the task force meetings are not Brown Act public meetings. It's just going to be informal ad hoc meetings with staff, likely over Zoom and during business hours. Of course, any task member is open to participate in any of the other police commission meetings where we're really doing a bunch of the work to actually finalize the development of the plan. And those are public meetings, but the task force themselves are not going to be Brown Act public meetings.
May we have a primary appointee and then a backup in the case that the primary person can't be in attendance? Or does that complicate things?
I think we really only need one. We're going to be meeting a few times, and but I'll leave that to your discretion. You know your commission, and I don't. And so if you think that it's good to have a backup, that's great. We probably wouldn't need the backup at the meetings if they're not needed, but I'll leave that at your discretion.
I think commission, yeah, okay.
Okay.
We'll leave it up to the commission to take a vote.
If I could just ask whoever, if you could just email me the name and email and phone number for that commissioner, that would be great.
Commissioner Daly?
I nominate Teresa as our liaison.
I second. And okay. And may we have a vote?
Yes. Chair Lindemeyer,
Yay.
Vice Chair Spielman,
Yes?
Commissioner Daly, Commissioner Ye,
Yes.
Commissioner Corrigan,
Yes.
and Commissioner Morris.
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
Great. So that's Commissioner Morris, right? First name Teresa? Teresa Morris? Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I look forward to getting your contact information, and you'll get an email from me the next day or two.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jaime. And Commissioner Morris, thank you for volunteering.
Good night, everybody.
Night. Okay, and Casey, think it's okay if we go back to public comment for items not on the agenda?
Okay. I only have one request to speak. It is from Gary Hedden. So in just a moment, I'm going to make sure he's allowed to talk. Okay, Gary, it may promote you to panelist. So if it does, please accept that.
I don't see anything, but can you hear me?
We can hear you. If you'll give me just a moment, I will put up your timer and I will keep you apprised of the time. Okay, so you have 3 minutes on the clock and I will start your time now.
Well, I better talk fast then. Good evening, honored commissioners, council member Meadows, and I presume the interim city manager is here. Welcome as well to you. I'm Gary Hedden, Los Altos resident since 1975, by the way. Got you beat, Scott. My message is from Greentown, Los Altos. I'm the board president, and I've got maybe 3 things, but I won't be able to get it in 3 minutes. One is we're working on a campaign right now, the 500 Trees campaign, but it's on hold because of the COVID. I just wanted to to let you know, but it's been interesting. We've had a chance to work with a lot of different groups last year when we planted 162 trees. And we worked with scouts, we worked with high school team, the green team at the Los Altos High School, and other groups. It's very satisfying. This year we got 8 trees in the ground before we had to stop. And I've got about 40 people lined up who want their trees right now. So we'll get started as soon as we can. And I recently, by the way, just talked to Manny and Ron about getting some trees at Redwood Grove. So that'll be exciting. I'd like to get some kids down there helping us plant trees. So that's one thing. The other is working with the Parks and Rec Department. Greentown is going to have a program that we call Lunch with Greentown. It's a series of lectures by guest speakers, and it'll start February 23rd. I've worked with Bridget Matheson on this. She's been a huge help, and I want to thank her for that. I don't have the registration link yet. I expect to have that in a week or so. But the talks are starting February 23rd, Electrify Your Home. On the 25th, Good Urban Planning by Allison Hicks, who's a Mountain View City Council member. On May 2nd, White People Drive, Let's Bike with Shiloh Ballard, Silicon Valley Bicycle Coalition. March 4th, the latest on waste and recycling by Louis Pellegrini, the president of Mission Trail Waste. Then a couple of talks, one on regenerative agriculture from Hidden Villa, backyard cover cropping, plant-based eating. Can art change our environmental consciousness by Linda Gass, the circular economy with Julie Noblet, and environmental initiatives with Laura Texler. So it's going to be packed with lots of good information. It's a lunch series, so it's 1 hour. You sit down at lunchtime, take a break, eat your lunch, and sign up. So I encourage everybody on the commission here to sign up, and I'll be getting the word out as much as I can. And once again, thanks to the Parks and Rec for providing this opportunity. And then looking ahead, since I still have some time, we always have summer interns, and one of the projects that they did work on, just to thinking about what Jaime was talking about, was we had a couple of our interns actually ride all of the safe routes to schools or suggested routes to schools and make notes of where there were some issues, and we contacted the city and got a lot of those issues taken care of. So these are the kinds of things that Greentown does and can do, and we've been doing this for over 10 years. The representative, Chris Hober, who is going to work on the task force with Complete Streets, is a really sharp guy, and he's going to be working with the schools, working with all the PTA presidents to try to identify things that we can do at each school to encourage and promote bicycling to school. And that's what we do. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Gary. I will email everybody the link to the lunch program. I'll do that tomorrow.
Well, it's not up yet on the website.
Yeah, we have access.
Oh, you have your ways. Okay, thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. That's really exciting. Oh, Commissioner Morris.
Yes, I had a question for Mr. Hedden. I'd like to know if we could make it known now what the website address is, so that the people that may be listening to this meeting or watching the meeting can have access to that, even if it isn't up there, where they can find the schedule. That would be helpful. And also because I believe the 500 trees is also at that same website.
Well, actually, the lunch series, the Lunch with Greentown, is going to be through the Parks and Rec website. So you would go to the Parks and Rec website and look for the winter classes and sign up through there. The Greentown website does have the sign-ups for the 500 trees.
I can include both of those in the minutes, Commissioner Morris.
Gary, it might be also a great idea for us to cross-promote and list both of our websites on each of our websites and cross-promote both.
Sure, that's a good idea. Although I'm kind of backing down on doing too much promotion on the trees, because if we can't get the green light to start planting, it's going to be a real trouble. A lot of trouble to try to get these things in the ground.
Great.
Thank you very much. Okay, and let's move on to item number 3. Equal Access to Public Places and Recreational Opportunities Resolution.
Thank you, Chair Linda Meyer. So the recommendation this evening is to discuss the resolution options and forward a recommendation to City Council. So back in January of 2017, there were a group of residents that approached City Council requesting that the city reaffirm its commitment to being a diverse, supportive, inclusive, and protective community. As a result, on February 14th in 2017, City Council did adopt such resolution to maintain a community which is diverse, supportive, inclusive, and protective of all individuals, regardless of their religion, ancestry, ethnicity, disability, gender, sexual orientation, or gender identity. At its regular meeting of July 8th, Commissioner Daly recommended to place the role of Parks and Recreation and social justice on a future Parks and Recreation Commission agenda. And this was to discuss and show support for Black Lives Matter art that showed up in Lincoln Park. At its regular meeting of August 12th, the commission reviewed a proposed resolution crafted by Commissioner Daly. And at that time, a subcommittee was formed with Commissioner Daly and Commissioner Morris. At its regular meeting of November 16th, the subcommittee shared a revised resolution to be considered by the commission. At that time, the commission recommended that the resolution be given to staff to check that the language wording comports with best practices in this domain for bringing it back to the Parks and Recreation Commission for consideration. So this evening, as part of the packet, staff has provided some input, and all the changes were highlighted in red, and I will bring that up momentarily. It is staff's understanding that the intent of the proposed resolution is to provide current and future commissions with guidelines and considerations when making recommendations to City Council that are applicable to providing equal access to public places and recreational opportunities. Staff is recommending that the commission consider one of the following recommendations to City Council. Option 1, approve proposed resolution initiated by the commission with final edits. 2, update and revise the existing resolution adopted in 2017 as a citywide initiative. 3, consider amending Los Altos Municipal Code Ordinance 208, which is the powers and duties of the Parks and Recreation Commission as highlighted below. The Parks and Recreation Commission shall act in an advisory capacity to the council in all matters pertaining to parks and public recreation and shall cooperate with all other governmental agencies and civic groups in the advancement of sound parks and recreational planning and programming, shall make budget recommendations to the council with regard to parks and recreation, and shall submit an annual report to the council, comma, and this is a new suggested wording, committed to equal access to public places and recreational opportunities. And then any other option that you might establish this evening. So at this time, or at any time that you guys are ready, I'd be more than happy to pull up the proposed recommendation, and that concludes the background on this report.
Okay, thank you very much, Director Leahy. Do we have any commissioner questions? Commissioner Daly.
Has everybody had a chance to read the revised language? You have not read it yet, Young? Yeah. So that's probably where we should start, right? To familiarize ourselves with it.
Yeah, and also for anyone who's on the phone, I think that it would behoove us to even read it aloud. Is there someone that would like to do that?
We definitely can do that, Chair Linda Meyer. Currently, we do not have any attendees that are on the phone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Just
so
for-
sorry, I didn't see this page. I can read it on my own. We don't have to go through this exercise.
Okay, so may I comment?
Yes, please.
So Yang is reading it through. And Teresa, I apologize that you and I didn't have a chance to meet as a subcommittee to review this language before this meeting started tonight. So I don't want anybody to infer that my comments are on Teresa's behalf as if we had made this discussion as a subcommittee. This is my own particular comment. And the main thing I want to note is the way this currently reads, we're asking the city council to recognize that we as a commission have a particular, that we are putting forth a particular value statement. And that wasn't really my initial intent. And my preference and hope is that we would instead be asking the city council to affirm these values on behalf of the entire city.
I guess if I may.
Yeah, Commissioner Corrigan.
Yeah, with respect to Commissioner Daly's comment, I guess my question is, would that be done at the city council level then, you know, the option 2 on the list? Would that be where the better forum to address the city level endorsement of what you're asking for, if you know what I mean? I don't understand why we would propose this without the city council taking a lead on that.
It is appropriate for us to put things before the council, and then the council can decide whether or not they want to take it forward as a you know, move on it.
So Pete, on the third whereas clause, isn't that the city punting this? Because they say that it looks, I mean, I don't know what they're thinking, and Councilmember Meadows could shed some light on it, but that third whereas clause is the city telling me that they already did this in 2017.
So yes, they did that in 2017, but and forgive me, Madam Chair, I'm kind of just iterating with my fellow commission members here, if that, with your permission, is that okay?
Please.
Okay. So they passed a resolution in 2017, but you know, 2020 has been a historic year for a lot of reasons. One of the historical dimensions of 2020 has been the fight for racial justice and the struggle that has represented in so many communities around the country, in some places manifesting itself as peaceful demonstration, and in other places manifesting itself you know, with a degree of conflict. So it's my feeling, and it's also the feeling of the residents that I interact with in the who are activists for social justice and so forth, that the time is right to reaffirm those values. And you know, not our sister city, but our neighbor Palo Alto and their parks department has also just undergone some degree of upheaval over equity of access to one of their assets. So I think the timing is right.
Vice Chair Philman.
I've read the statement by council. Has everyone else read that? My thinking is that is very comprehensive and well done, and provides clear language about no discrimination. So I don't think it could be better written than what they have done before. So when we look at this from a park standpoint, what are we adding to that has not already been said? And when we go further, are we asking for some commitment from council that they haven't given already? I think they've made it clear what they want. And so also, is this an admission that we have not lived up to council policy in the resolution that they offered a couple of years ago? So my question is, what are we gaining by this? Well, I agree with the thought that we should be diverse and provide equal access, but we already have language that flows through our whole city from our city council. So we're not going to solve the national problem, and I don't believe we have a Los Altos issue with respect to parks. So what are we gaining by this? Why are we doing this?
Yeah, isn't that what I was saying the last time we brought this up?
It was what you were saying, and I agree wholeheartedly with what you said last meeting, Commissioner Ye.
Yeah, and if you guys bring up that resolution that Scott's referencing, it's the same thing but just, I guess, a little bit better written.
Chair Lindemeyer, would you like me to bring up that resolution?
Sure.
Okay, give me a moment, please.
While Director Legge's bringing that up. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Thank you for your patience. Here it is. So basically, it's a resolution of the City Council of the City of Los Altos reaffirming the city's commitment to a diverse, supportive, inclusive, and protective community. Los Altos values a community characterized by diversity, multiculturalism, and unity. Many Los Altans are active as volunteers in preparing for and responding to emergencies, both natural and man-made, and ensuring the physical and emotional needs of all are considered and met whenever possible. Each person is naturally and legally entitled to live a life unmolested by harassment, discrimination, persecution, or assault, whether perpetrated by individuals, groups, businesses, or governments. There exists significant and growing concern in Los Altos based upon recent national and regional incidents of hate crimes, discrimination, sexual harassment, and assault, and the fear of a trend toward more of these crimes in the future. There also exists concern in our community of risks to marginalized communities of persecution, denial of constitutional and human rights, and relaxation of laws protecting people from discrimination, harassment, and assault. Many Los Altans continually communicate their rejection of bigotry and affirm their commitment to diverse, supportive, inclusive, and protective community. Los Altans value all members of the community regardless of religion, ancestry, ethnicity, disability, gender, sexual orientation, or gender identity. Now, therefore, be it resolved, that the City Council of the City of Los Altos hereby reaffirms its commitment to diverse, supportive, and inclusive community and resolves as follows. The City of Los Altos rejects bigotry in all of its forms, including but not limited to, I can't even say that word, Islamophobia, anti-Semitism, racism, nativism, misogyny, and homophobia. The City of Los Altos does not tolerate discrimination, hate crimes, harassment, or assault. The City of Los Altos will oppose any attempts to undermine the safety, security, and rights of members of our community. The City of Los Altos recognizes, values, and will proactively work to ensure the rights and privileges of everyone in Los Altos, regardless of religion, ancestry, country of birth, immigration status, disability, gender, sexual orientation, or gender identity. And the City of Los Altos will promote actual safety, a sense of security, and equal protection of constitutional and human rights, leading by example through equitable treatment of all by city officials and departments.
It's beautifully written.
So Pete, is there anything, and Teresa, is there anything
Please
that,
recognize Teresa first. She's been trying to get in on this for a little bit.
oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see your hand.
No, it's okay. It's
Commissioner
hard to
Morris.
see in that little strip. So I'm sorry. I was trying not to be obnoxious about wanting to say something. So I think having had Director Legge read that, it's clear that it's saying the city council. So I think the intent is to say the Park and Rec Commission. And so if every single commission in our city did a similar resolution, I don't think there'd be any harm done. And I certainly think it might actually be helpful to correcting some things in the world, because it brings it all in front of our faces and reminds us about the inequities within our country and within our city and state. So I personally, again, not speaking for Pete, for Commissioner Daly here, I personally think it's good to keep it at the Park and Rec level, because I think it can be a guiding tool for us. I personally don't see any problem with doing all of the suggested things on our agenda, but if I were to choose one, it would be to enact it for the Park and Rec. I have a little bit of a problem with the highlighted yellow part. I think it reads a little awkwardly, so I think if we're going to do that, it'd be nice to hammer that out a bit more. But I do support this going forward. We did work with Director Legge on this, we being Commissioner Daly and myself, and I think they did capture the words. I'm sorry, Commissioner Daly, if I misunderstood, because I thought this was going to be coming from Park and Rec, and I knew while we were doing it that we were overlapping some of what the City Council already did. And again, draw your attention to the fact that it says the City Council and the staff, and it doesn't say and the commission. So if we wanted to, we could push the City Council to amend theirs to include all commissions, and then it could be part of the packet. But I actually saw this as being one of our guiding tools for our commission to be a good reminder of what we need to do.
Commissioner Daly.
Thank you, Commissioner Morris. Yes, I think you and I do have a slight difference of opinion. My preference would be for the City Council to take this up and make it a statement that's for citywide. And while I really appreciate the resolution that was adopted in 2017, I think that, as I said, it's been a monumentous year. It's time to stand up again and reaffirm those values as a city. But there's an important distinction in the content of what we're trying to say and what that original resolution said. That original resolution had a lot of good things to say, but fundamental to what we're trying to say is that equity of access to these places is fundamental to the value of those places. Meaning, if you are a person of color and you don't feel welcomed in our parks, then that park doesn't have value to you as a Los Altos resident. And I know secondhand, because I'm not a person of color and I can't be in those shoes and I don't know what it feels like, but I have observed and I have heard from many residents who don't feel they have equity of access to our parks. From many residents who feel like if they go into the park and they're having a barbecue or a child's birthday party, in one case that was directly related to me, a child's birthday party where 3 cop cars rolled up on the child's birthday party and wanted to know why these people were there. And they were Los Altos residents with relatives that perhaps might have been from neighboring communities as well, but they had every right to be there in that park. Yet there was an assumption, because they didn't look like the commissioners here present, that they were somehow out of place. And so that's where I'm coming from.
City Manager Brad Kilcher, and then Young, Commissioner Ye.
I'll defer to the commissioner first.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Brad. Pete, so I know you mentioned that 2020 has been a momentous year, and yes, it is. I think every year is kind of like that. But if you notice the date of this original city council one, it's February 14th, 2017. So I don't know exactly what triggered it, but I'm just going to guess that because Trump's inauguration was 2 weeks before it, that's probably why they did that. So every time something happens, which is going to keep happening, whenever we do something like this, to a person of color, I'm guessing it's just going to sound like thoughts and prayers, but with like a couple hundred more words. And so that's why I keep wondering, what's the point? These people, everyone knows there's an issue, but this doesn't do anything. And if we keep just kicking it down the road, it's great. It's just, I mean, it's thoughts and prayers, great. I'm okay, I'll sign on for it, but what's the point?
I regret that I did not rally the community support for this, because I could have had 35 people making public comments and it would have been pretty easy. The text of this resolution was reviewed by people in the Black Lives Matter Los Altos group. So I am representing that. I have heard from them. Now, I didn't rally them to come to our meeting tonight and make public comment. If it would be more compelling to hear from them, I can certainly arrange for that if we want to address this at another meeting. I would hope instead, though, that we could move it to council, but obviously that's going to be at the discretion of the majority of commissioners.
Vice Chair Spillman.
I regret to hear of that incident regarding that birthday party. I don't know the details behind it. I would want to know the details behind it and why the officers stopped there. There could be reasons that we don't know about. Maybe the size of the party was large. Maybe the noise was great. Maybe neighbors complained. We don't know unless a complaint is filed at that time. Now, I have experience being in one of our parks and witnessing about 50 people who were not of this country, speaking a foreign language, enjoying the park, one of our parks, don't even live in Los Altos, and they were having a grand old time. And I was there for about an hour while that was going on. I talked to some of them, and I felt like they felt welcomed, and I was glad for that. Now, they may have exceeded the size of a party, but I'm not there to decide whether that's, a police matter or not. But I have seen people of a different color, a different language enjoying our park. So I've seen comfort. So I have a sense that we don't have a lot of incidents. Of the incidents that are there, I have a sense that some feel very welcome, and then we hear of your particular case, Pete, that you heard about. But I was there seeing one, and I felt I was proud that our parks could be used. So I think we have incidents on both sides. When it comes down to it, do we really have complaints? If people complained to council, to the police department, do we have incidents where we have discriminated? I think our policy is as clear as it could be. And so I again say, I don't know what value we're going to add to that policy that is clearly there and is clearly being supported by our council.
City Manager.
Yes, thank you. First of all, thank you for all your hard work.
This is my first day on the job, and I'm sure I'm speaking out of turn, so I apologize. And I have not had a chance to even talk to staff. Donna, hi. Casey. I respect what the commission is trying to say. That's not at issue. The issue is the process. The council sets the policy for the community. The commissions are the eyes and ears of the council into the community. And you have raised some issues that you think need to be addressed. I think the question is how you take that to the council if you feel you need to have that conversation with the council. And I'm a little concerned with the resolution as it's currently structured. Not that it isn't important, it's extremely important, but how it's conveyed. And I think how it's conveyed is important so that it's not misconstrued. The council has set that policy in 2017, and what I've garnered from this is some of the commissioners feels it needs to be reevaluated or reinforced. So I don't have the answer tonight. I'm just strictly going off to what I've heard tonight and the staff report I've read. But I think maybe we need to think a little bit more about how that message is conveyed. Donna, do you have any suggestions on that based on what you've heard from the commission?
One of the comments was that the 2017 resolution only lists council, but what it says is city officials and departments. Commissioners are city officials.
I agree. I agree.
So I think we might be better taking an existing resolution and going to city council and saying, we'd like to emphasize, based on our current history in 2020, emphasize the importance of having equal access to public places and recreational opportunities. The 2017 resolution does not specifically mention those type of amenities that contribute towards the quality of life in Los Altos.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Those are my thoughts.
Commissioner Corrigan.
Yeah, just one comment I did notice in the city's resolution, though it talked about, I can't see the wording right now, but it was equitable. There was a phrase about equitable something right near the end, which I thought would cover this. Equal protection and equitable treatment of all. Equitable treatment. At the bullet
It's
5.
at the end of number 5.
Yes. I felt comfortable that addresses what we're trying to achieve.
So the very last sentence, it says equitable treatment of all city officials and departments. So we could say city officials does include commissions. So
of all by city officials and departments.
So, Commissioner Corrigan, that's a good point, but if that were sufficient, then we would never have any reason in law to provide further clarification of existing statutes, and our original Constitution would suffice for all civil and state and federal code. But the fact remains that despite this well-intentioned statement in 2017, a good deal of our residents, in fact, quite a few of our residents of color, don't feel like they have equity of access. So I would be amenable to requesting that council take up a potential revision to this statement that would add a very simple phrase about equity of access to our parks and public places.
Does the city of number 5, the city of Los Altos, though, does that imply the entire city of Los Altos, which includes the parks and the public spaces? My
Right.
question is, what is it that we actually would like to accomplish? And can we accomplish that? Because I'm thinking about what Yang was saying, and adding more words isn't going to really necessarily make it different. If we want something different, how can we achieve that? If we want a different action or a different reaction, how can we achieve that? Through Parks and Rec.
Well, the challenge is since the city has really written a comprehensive policy, what more could we add to it? I could see a phrase about equal access to parks, but going beyond that, again, I don't know what we'd accomplish. And even if we add that, we're going to ask council to get involved and spend their time considering a modification that they may already think is included here. When they wrote this years ago, I think they probably were considering all of the city. So are we asking council to spend their time and their legal time and their council time to revise something that already is comprehensive, and where we don't have any clear cases of reports of any kind of lack of equal access? So one, we don't have reports. Two, we have a comprehensive document. And three, we're putting a burden on council to do something that seems to already be included.
City manager.
I'll just reinforce. Again, the council sets the policy for the entire city staff and commissions. If a commission feels that a current policy is out of date or needs to be revised, you have the ability, you have the authority to ask the council to consider that. And so that's what I think you've all said very well. You've raised some issues, and you as a group need to decide if you want to forward that to the council for consideration.
So might I suggest it's time for a motion?
Did Commissioner Morris want to speak?
I'm not, let's see.
Yes, I did.
See her.
And I believe Councilmember Meadows would like to speak as well.
Okay. I apologize, I'm not seeing everyone.
Here, this will make it easier.
Okay, I am now. Well, yeah.
May I speak?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Commissioner
So
Morris.
Commissioner Morris here. I'm not going to lie. I think I'm a bit disappointed about where we're going with this conversation. I don't know that I have shared this publicly, but I will at this moment. I grew up in a multiracial family. I know what it is to walk into a park or to a public place and have everybody stiffen up and look around as though a criminal just walked in to the space. So if we have people in our town, our city, that say that they have that experience, I am going to believe them, because I've experienced that in my life, having been with a mixed family. So I want to be respectful always of what people say their experience is within this city. And I know that each and every one of us that is sitting here is not necessarily how we appear. So I think typically people would assume that I am a, older white woman that lives in the suburbs and lucky me, had this great life, everything was easy. I try not to make those assumptions about people. And I'm asking that we do not assume that the experience for everybody in this town is the same. So I would like us to consider at least moving forward with asking council to review what we have come up with, the wording, the intent, have a conversation perhaps with at least Commissioner Daly, if not Commissioner Daly and myself, and perhaps City Manager Kilger will be there as well. Good. And that we might make some effort to make the document that they have reflect a little bit more of what Commissioner Daly was originally intending to have happen with this document. I would also like to take up, maybe put on a future agenda, if it's possible, what Chair Lindemeyer said, which is, what are we trying to do with this document? What can Park do to make this a more inclusive town, if that's what we're trying to do, to really get down to the meat and potatoes of what our intention is with a resolution like this, or with supporting a resolution like this. I think it would be worthy of a conversation so that we at the Park and Rec level can address what we can address. Sorry, I was thinking of something else and then lost the other part of it. But I think it's important for us to continue the conversation. Oh, I know what it is. So the 2017 resolution that the City Council enacted, did any of you know about it before recent events? I didn't, and I think it just got buried in a lot of documents. And so at the very least, I'd like to see that resolution be given to each and every commission, and have it be one of the documents that they use that drives them forward with all of the decisions that they make. So, so I'd be comfortable if we came up with something like that this evening that said that's a guiding document that every commission needs to have in their packets in front of them and use as they make decisions going forward in the city. But I will admit I'm a little disappointed that this resolution that has been worked on is not being accepted as well as I had hoped it would, because we've brought it back now at least a couple times and asked for input on it. So I appreciate the conversation, though. I think it's really important, but please don't assume that if people are saying they're having an experience in our city, that they are not having that experience, because I guarantee you they are having that experience. I guarantee it.
Council Member Meadows, and then Commissioner Ye.
Thank you. I'll give some of the same caveats that Mr. Kilger gave, which is I have just seen this information when reviewing the packet in advance of tonight's meeting. And it's really great that you can have a discussion all around all sides of this. So I do agree the sentiment is really important. I think what Mr. Kilger brought up in terms of process, that was very important, because this applies to all of us, not just to Parks and Rec. When the impression I got when I looked at this was, maybe this is your mission statement. So I'm not saying that council can't make the resolution from 2017 more comprehensive, and I think bringing that forward would be good. But perhaps one way to think about doing it is, here as Parks, we feel strongly about this. This is our mission, and we want to bring this forward to you because we believe this is important to all of us in the city. And here's how we can strengthen the 2017 resolution. And so, but we believe so firmly in it that we in Parks are making this what we're aiming the work that we do towards. So that was just a context that I thought as I've listened to the discussion and I've read the materials, and that's for whatever it's worth. There you go.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Commissioner Ye, and then Vice Chair Spillman.
Yeah, I mean, it's like being actually the one person on this panel other than Donna of color. I didn't know about this thing in 2017, whoever mentioned that a second ago, and quite frankly, I don't care. I mean, who cares? It doesn't, I'm not gonna do something suddenly racist and then realize I'm gonna pick this up and be like, oh yeah, I shouldn't have done that super racist thing. Good thing I read that. Okay. This thing doesn't accomplish anything. It just like alleviates people's guilt. All right. And so when you tell a person of color that you're going to do all this stuff and they don't see it, over time, it doesn't do anything. All right. And it just offends people. It's actually more offensive to do all this and then have nothing change.
Commissioner Corrigan. Oh, Vice Chair Spillman and then Commissioner Corrigan.
So I'd like to make a motion, and that is, I move that the Park and Rec Commission affirms City Council's resolution in 2017, including equal access to our parks, and recommends that council provides the same resolution to all other commissions.
Is there discussion? Commissioner Daly.
Wondering if you're open to a friendly amendment, if I can come up with something that fits within your intent, Scott.
Probably am.
Okay, so perhaps the motion could be that council takes up the 2017 resolution, reaffirming it and adding a clause as appropriate that also specifies equity of access to our public places, and then promulgates that resolution to every commission so it becomes front of mind in how they go about their business.
I want to hear, before I comment, could I hear from Commissioner Ye?
I can't predict the future, but I'm going to guess that there's going to be 100% of people in our commissions voting for it.
Can you say that one more time, Commissioner Ye?
Whatever we do, if council circulates something, just assume we don't need to hold a vote, because 100% of the people who will be voting for it, because you don't want to be the person who doesn't.
Is Commissioner Morris next? Okay.
No, actually, I'm not. Commissioner Corrigan's next. He was before everybody else, so I'll wait.
Okay, thank you. You're muted, Commissioner Corrigan.
Darn it. I did want to revert to the original proposal from Commissioner Spielman, because I still believe the way it's worded. I'm concerned about us getting into wordsmithing these kind of fine points over time. It's sort of a precedent that as situations arise in the future, we'll come back and spend so much time that we've spent in past meetings on this topic, which we all agree on in concept, and we have a working resolution that actually, I believe, addresses the core issues. And I'm concerned about spending additional time in the council, et cetera, resources, and we should actually be doing what I think Commissioner Morris said is, I want to focus as much time as we can on how do we actually realize the changes that are implied. Like, what is the action plan for the disabled, and what are we going to do there? So I would like to recommend staying with the original motion and then quickly move to future work on how we realize the vision.
In the original motion.
Do you think it would behoove us to try to put it to council, to put it to the other commissions, to try to incorporate this somehow, come up with a plan, and realize the vision? So that it's not just a document, but it's something that is an action plan.
Yeah, I would support that, making it more actionable. If we really believe in this, then what are our plans to support it? And if we don't believe it, then don't make that recommendation. So. I mean, at minimum, I think the recommendation was to make sure it gets promulgated to the other commissions. That was what I think Commissioner Spielman recommended originally. I would support that as is.
Director Lakey.
This is related, but also a side note. So very soon, the city clerk is putting together a task force of commission liaisons to relook at the handbook and the ordinances related to each of the roles and duties, roles and responsibilities of each of the commission, and kind of consolidate everything in one place, because right now when we do orientations for our commissions, we have to pull documents from different locations. And so what I'm envisioning, as Vice Chair Spielman said, is that whatever this final document looks like, it can be included in the Commissioner Handbook, which is referenced when we do our orientation and should be in everybody's right-hand pocket.
So if I could come back to my motion, I don't want to add more burden to council because I think they've already done their job. So I'd like to stick to that original motion, which again would be to that park affirms council's resolution in 2017, and we can add kind of the topic of that resolution, including and adds, how did I phrase it? I don't know if you wrote down, Casey.
This is what I have so far, Vice Chair Spielman, that park affirms City Council's resolution from 2017, including a new section regarding equal access to our parks. And then there was a piece about future disbursement to the additional commissions.
And recommends council forwards its resolution to all other commissions.
Forgive me, but the way that's worded is not really in order. It's out of order. It's out of order for us to affirm a resolution that the council passed, but add something to it. It would be in order if we moved to ask the council to reaffirm and amend as follows. So this is a procedural objection to the motion as it stands.
Well, my hesitation is I don't want to add any further effort on council to do something beyond what they've already done that I think is effective.
Understood.
So then I would take away the statement of equality of access that park affirms the resolution of council in 2017 and in its parks and programs, and recommends to council that they forward the resolution to all other commissions.
I would second that if that's appropriate for a second. I don't know if that's
appropriate.
Chair Lindemeyer.
So we have a second. Is it Commissioner Morris?
So what I heard for Scott's motion, and I wrote it down originally, was it said council take up 2017 resolution, reaffirm, and add, and share with every commission. So when Casey read something back, it said that we would affirm, and I'm wondering if that's the right word, as it stands actually, to use that because it's already a done deal. But anyway, I just wanted to see if that resonated with Vice Chair Spielman, that it didn't say we were affirming originally. He had originally said have council takes up and reaffirms. So, and then the last thing is, I know we've got the thing, I would hate to see this get buried again. So I support the idea of putting it in packets, but I think the conversation also has to be, how do we not have it be buried?
Well, by making a statement that we affirm it, and also recommending that council passes it on to other commissions. We're making a statement without requiring, a heavy commitment from council, but we're saying that we care about it. And I think that gets us 90% of where we possibly could go.
Chair Lindemeyer, may I request that Casey reread how she has it right now?
Please, Casey.
What I currently have is a motion by Vice Chair Spielman that Park affirms the City Council resolution from 2017. I would put the full resolution title in brackets. And then recommend that City Council forward its resolution to all commissions. That removed the part about equality of access.
That's it.
Could we add that we're recommending it be included in commission orientation packets?
I will
Absolutely.
note that as a friendly amendment.
Absolutely.
If Vice Chair Spielman, Commissioner Corrigan, do you also approve that a friendly amendment?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Thank you.
And are we talking, just to be specific, all commissioner orientation packets, all staff orientation packets? Let's be specific there. What do you have in mind, Commissioner Daly? Well, let me suggest.
My wish would be that it is as broadly distributed as possible. I'd love it to be for commissioners and city staff, but I'm reluctant to presume.
We'll state.
I think that the staff issue, you start to touch on human resource issues and things like that. So I think I would be reluctant to go there, but to me, it certainly seems very appropriate for commissioners.
All right, we'll make it commissioner orientation packets. Awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair Lindemeyer, are you ready for a vote, or?
Okay. Would you mind rereading?
Yes, I can.
The motion, thanks.
Vice Chair Spielman moved that the Parks and Recreation Commission affirms the City Council resolution from 2017, and then recommend that City Council forward its resolution to all other commissions. And the resolution would be included in commission orientation packets.
And just to be specific, affirms City Council's resolution for all park and recreation, all parks and recreation activities. So to make it specific to us, we affirm it for all of the parks and recreational activities. So
Seems
all
like
parks.
this belongs in a placard somewhere, like in the town square, or like Commissioner Morris.
That was my thinking too. I mean, obviously we aren't necessarily going to stick it in this motion because I don't think it's going to fly with the commission, but I think it would be nice if it were posted somewhere as a guiding principle within our city. Again, it was buried for all these years and just resurrected. And I don't know that, it's not that people are intentionally, or it's, as Commissioner Ye said, it's not like someone's going to necessarily change their behavior, but again, they might, because they would see something that would say, hey, this is a value here, so I'm not going to, do my shenanigans or whatever in this town because they have this value. So yeah, I agree. I think it would be nice if it was posted. I feel badly we're not adding the clause. And in the word affirm, I'm sorry, it feels like we're being a slightly arrogant because the council has already said, this is your guiding document and you're supposed to be using it. So then we're going, oh yeah, okay, we recognize that document and we'll affirm that, you know, we agree with this document. It's not up for us to agree or disagree. They told us this is what we're supposed to be doing, therefore we need to be doing it. So that's my problem with the word affirm. It sounds like we're saying, oh yeah, okay, yeah, we'll give you that. We'll do what you said. But in actuality, we're supposed to be doing it. So I don't think the word recognizes it is the right word either, but the affirm just feels very arrogant.
Would reaffirm be better, or would be embrace? Would that be better?
I think something along those lines, again, recognizes it. Reaffirm, I don't know, but yeah, embrace it,
Calls
strongly
out.
Support it.
Calls out the resolution from 2017, or calls to attention the resolution, or reaffirms it, or
yeah, I'm having trouble with the word affirm. I don't know if anybody else is, but that's it. It sits incorrectly with me.
I feel the same way, Teresa. I don't feel like it's actually in order for us to affirm a resolution that the council already passed.
Especially based on what City Manager Kilger said. It really seems like we're overstepping our authority in a way. So, maybe recognize is the right word. We recognize it. We take it as our own. We take it serious. It's that idea of like we're trying to say, look, we see it. We want to do it. We're going to use it. And as City Councilwoman Meadows said, our others can be a little bit like the mission statement, but maybe that's like our statement is we're recognizing that council provided this document and we are accepting it as a guiding document for our commission.
I can't count the number of times I've been through an organizational restructuring where we've gone through mission, vision, values, and goals and reconstructed those elements for a given organization. And this would not be a mission statement, but it would be the chief values statement under the mission and the vision.
Well, I fully support the idea of changing the word to recognizes.
What about the word value, Vice Chair Spielman? What if we said we value the resolution?
Sure.
That might be, so we could change that word from affirm to value.
All right, why don't we do that? So let's restate it, if you would, Casey, with the word values.
Okay.
Yes. Commissioner Corrigan, do you also approve that friendly amendment?
Yes, could you just?
And yes, I will reread it. Vice Chair Spielman moved that the Parks and Recreation Commission values the City Council resolution from 2017 and then recommends that the City Council forward its resolution to all other commissions and include the resolution in the commissioner orientation packets.
I'm comfortable with that, but the one thing that the specificity, and I want to ask the commissioners, should we put the detail in all our parks and recreation programs?
I'm sorry, Vice Chair Spielman, you had already included that after 2017, and I do have a note to include that.
Okay, thank you.
So it would read that the Parks and Recreation Commission values the City Council resolution from 2017 for all parks and recreation activities, and then recommends that City Council forward its resolution to all other commissions and include the resolution in commissioner orientation packets.
Now that I've heard it said out loud, would it be possible to say part recognizes and values the city council resolution, blah, 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 blah. So we have the word recognizes and values. So one, it says, we've seen it, we've noticed it, we, have it in front of our eyes. And the second says, we find it important and value it. Would that be acceptable?
To me, it almost sounds like back to the affirms. The fact that we don't really have the choice of recognizing it, do we? Like it's the same as the affirms argument, I thought.
You're right. Okay.
Values gets there.
Yeah. For me.
And Casey, I noticed that you said all other commissions. Scott, how would you feel about just all commissions, just to ensure that we also receive it?
Sure.
I'll take out other.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you for your suggestions, commissioners.
So one more thing, I looked up the word value. Worth. So we recognize the worth of the document. That would be another one that might sound a little less slangish. The importance, that would be another. The importance of the document. So those are two other words that might be more appropriate. Just trying to get it to where it sounds, like the right phrasing. Anybody think that we need to change it from values to importance, recognize, or the importance of it, or the worth of it?
Well, I'm comfortable with values. I think we're making a value statement that's pretty comprehensive. It says that we put importance into it and that it's worth something. So I think we can add more words, but I don't think the other words add that much to it. But I like your thoughts.
I hope we can all agree that what we're saying is that there are a lot of resolutions, but that this one is really
absolutely
important to us.
Absolutely.
That we value this one a little extra.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't, I mean, the wording, I'm happy with wherever we land at this point because we've workshopped it a lot. And I don't think you're ever going to have a statement that 6 or 7 people find perfect. So I'm happy, but I just want to make the sort of signing statement, the comment that, what we're saying is we abide by all resolutions of the city council, but we find this one to be particularly resonant for us.
Yeah. So Chair Lindemeyer, can you call for the question?
Okay. I'd like to call for the question. Oh, you're muted.
I realized right after I spoke. Chair Lindemeyer.
Yay.
Vice Chair Spielman.
Yes.
Commissioner Daly.
Aye.
Commissioner Ye.
Sure.
Commissioner Corrigan.
Commissioner
You're
Corrigan,
unmuted.
you're muted.
Yes.
And Commissioner Morris.
Yes.
That motion passed unanimously.
Good work.
Teresa, thank you so much for working on this. Really, thank you very much. And I hope it's a topic that you and I will continue to work together on in our community.
We will, because you're on that committee with me now.
Yes, and I promise to introduce you to a couple of people you asked to have a
Yes,
dialogue
I hope
with.
so. I'm looking forward to it. So, and thank you to everybody as well. That we've brought this back and we've hashed at it for a while, but it's always exciting when we accomplish something as a commission, and we seem to just do a good job. Not to toot our own horns, but we're doing it. And staff, thank you for all your work on this. Director Legge, you did a lot of work on this to have it sort of dropped.
I so much appreciate you, Director Legge. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
All right. Let's see. Okay, let's move to informational items. Director Legge, do you have any informational items?
Yes. I am sharing the screen with everyone, and let me make it a little bit bigger. Maybe not that bigger. Okay. Where did it go? Okay. So it's interesting because usually we are so late in our meetings that we don't have an opportunity to go over the informational items. I do want to note, can you see the whole document? It's only showing up partly on mine.
I cannot see the middle.
Hey, Donna, just scroll it off your screen and bring it back. It's just an Adobe thing.
Okay, hold on. Something happened. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. So I'm just going to go through it. Okay. Can you see it now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for your patience. In your packet, I attached the annual 2021 commission meeting schedule and also the city council meeting assignments. For the benefit of Commissioner Corrigan, if there is an item on a city council meeting that may be of interest to the commission and your name is on that meeting, the idea is for you to attend the meeting and to report back out to the commission. So as liaison, I'll work closely with whichever commission is assigned to a council meeting. So typically the last few presentations that we've made to city council, it has been a presentation made by the subcommittee that has been working on a particular project. So aside from that, if there's another item, then a commissioner will attend. I wanted to give you just an update on the Off Leash Ordinance. This is tentatively scheduled for a first reading of the ordinance on February 9th. And so it requires 2 readings, and then we'll be able to move forward with our pilot program. The rest of the information is standard in terms of our registration. As Gary Hedden had mentioned, we have our winter recreation registration period starting on January 26th, of which his green lunch program will be a part of that. I wanted to recognize Bridget Matheson, our recreation supervisor, who modified our annual New Year's fun run into a virtual fun run. And so this allowed individuals to do a 5K anytime, any place within the first week of January. And as of the date of this report, we had 34 registered. That's really dwarfed compared to our normally 800 participants. Sometimes we actually last year we were more at 1,000. Other than that, what's not in the informational report, I wanted to share that the city clerk will be starting a recruitment process for our vacancy here on the commission. And so there's also 2 vacancies on the senior commission in the event you have anybody who may be interested in serving on the senior commission. I will be sending you out a link that will take you to the application and explain the process. So the idea is, I think in March, it will go to the city council for appointment, and our new commissioner will be at our April meeting. And as we do annually, our annual joint meeting with City Council will be is scheduled for May 4th. So that means in March and April, we'll start looking at our what do you call it, our work plan, and modify it and update it, and we'll also reorganize. Last year, as you know, COVID was started at the same time as the California Park and Recreation Conference. And so this year, the conference will be virtual, and it's scheduled to happen March 24th to 26th. That's a Wednesday through Friday, and it will be virtual. And so you will have an opportunity to let me know if you're interested in attending. I'll follow up with an email. I'll send you the link to the website. The actual sessions have not been posted yet in terms of what types of speakers and topics that are going to happen. And certainly you can wait until that happens to decide whether or not you would like to participate. So because there will not be lodging or traveling involved, like an airplane, we are opening this opportunity up to all the commissions if you are interested in attending. So I will be sending that information as well. Also, we have offered a position to a marketing specialist. We've been without a marketing specialist for quite a while. So we did an interview process, offered the position, it was accepted, and so our new specialist will be starting on February 1st. This is a part-time position. As you know, our full-time positions are frozen at this time. So that concludes my informational report. Oh, one more item. I wanted to give everybody an update on the Halsey House topic that came up at the City Council meeting last night. Can you see the screen?
Yes, we can.
Thank you. So I'm reading to you the draft minutes from last night. So City Council directed staff to share the historical study conducted by ARG, that's Architectural Resources Group, and any other past studies relative to Halsey House, such as the structural report, that has not yet been shared with Parks and Recreation Commission, Historical Commission, and Financial Commission, and work with the commissions to formulate recommendations for council on the direction they would like the council to proceed relative to Halsey House, including the option of renovation, partial renovation, demolition, partial demolition, restoration, and bring back all recommendations if there is not a consensus of the recommendations by the commissions to the council for consideration this March of 2021. So tentatively, we have the following schedule for this item to come to the Parks and Recreation Commission on February 10th, go to the Financial Commission on February 15th, Historical on February 22nd, and then presented to council tentatively for their March 23rd council meeting. So I just wanted to share with you that, and as we move forward to talk about the subcommittee work and the future agenda, the potential future agenda items, we can talk further about this. I did at the City Council shared with the council that the following information, I didn't give specific details, but we reviewed the Halsey House structural report on June 17th. And in that report presented by Sean Gallegos was a summary of the feasibility study. At the September 21st joint meeting with the Historical Commission, there was again a review and summary of the studies, and we also presented past, present, and future program ideas related to Halsey House and the Redwood Grove. And then in October of 2020, we had a presentation by John Baer. So I just wanted to share the status on the Halsey House as we move forward with our subcommittee report outs. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Looks like Pete has a question. Yes.
So we're about to get to our subcommittee reports anyway, and I thought perhaps we could just sort of juggle the agenda slightly, and Scott and I can essentially give you a subcommittee report on this particular issue right here. We did attend the city council meeting last night as well, or at least I did, and I'm pretty sure Scott was there for at least part of it, the relevant part, dealing with Halsey House, although as an attendee, I can't see who else is an attendee. I feel confident that by our February meeting, our subcommittee will be able to provide a slide deck to the commission with our recommendation on what the commission should recommend to council, and give you an executive summary of the approximately 150 to 200 pages of reports that we currently have on Halsey House. Now, it's my interpretation from the city council meeting last night and from follow-up conversations that I've had with individual council members that council believes this has been kicked down the road enough, and that enough studies have been done and money spent on consultants and engineers and architects, that the commissions should be able to synthesize that work and make some recommendations. So what I am prepared to come back to the full commission with next month is a couple of slides that say, here are the ballpark figures for the options that the consensus has developed that are viable ways to go forward. One option is total restoration meeting historical site standards, and that'll be the most expensive option. And then the other options will range all the way to to delisting it and tearing it down. And we will provide you slides and say, here are the pros and cons, here's the ballpark costs, and here's where we think the commission should land. And then of course the commission's free to debate it and vote on where it wants to land. But without a doubt, my interpretation from last night's city council meeting is enough is enough. Let's get our recommendation to them coming out of our next meeting.
So if I could add, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Somehow my video has been deactivated. I don't know if you can reactivate me, Casey, but
I'll work on it.
It's okay if you can't. In the joy of working on something important is I get to work with Pete, and the good news in working with Pete is we are free to disagree with each other in the directions we want to pursue. One of the things that we talked about today is the importance, at least I think it's important, to identify historical programs that were successful and work with Donna to identify specific programs going forward that would bring, that significant value to our community. Years ago, Halsey House was such a hit that you had to get in line to get your kids in, and I have 3 kids. I never could get them into Halsey House because it was always so crowded. There was a waiting list, and so whatever was happening historically that we're going to look into was really, really effective for the community. The challenges that we have are significant because of costs to rehabilitate. We recognize that. And so it will be very important for us to quickly work with Donna to look at historical programs and future programs and see what, if any, is the merit of rehabilitating part of Halsey House. And that's really one of the key issues for us. Is there enough program need or value to justify expenditure of money? And so I think that becomes a gating item for us. So we look forward to working with Donna together and others that know the history, like Marie Bax and others, to really look at the history and then and really look at the value of what we do going forward. I think it's a very difficult subject, but we want to do a thorough job. So Pete, you did a great job of explaining the urgency, and now council has urgency and it gives us urgency. So so we all have urgency to come to some recommendations, and I'm very encouraged by that.
I would just add that any of you who can anticipate what your major concern is going to be going into that meeting, let the subcommittee know ahead of time if there's homework that you want us to do to prepare to answer that specific question, because we're going to have to come out of that meeting with a recommendation to council. So let us know what we can help you do, what we can help with to get you in a position to make that vote.
Director Legge.
Just to protect the Brown Act, I will send an email out, and if you have any topics, please email it to me and I will get it to the subcommittee.
Oh yes, thank you very much. That's definitely the way to go.
Thank you.
Yeah, definitely send your most, difficult questions to them, because it would be great to really be able to come to a decision.
Yeah, we don't have any choice, Madam Chair. That was the explicit, repeated, unanimous direction of City Council last night.
I really look forward to hearing your report at the next meeting so that we can make a really informed decision. Okay. Do we have, let's see, Donna, do we have any more informational items before we move on to commissioner reports and comments?
No.
Okay. So do we have any more commissioner reports, comments?
Grant Park, Teresa and Young, that came up at the previous City Council meeting. Do we want to report anything? Council gave us some refined direction coming out of that meeting.
Director Legge.
If I could clarify, I sent an email to the 3 subcommittee members. Right now, we are selecting 2 representatives from the Youth Commission, Senior Commission, and Parks and Recreation Commission to serve on a task force as directed by council to work with staff to develop a scope of work that will then come to the full commissions and be recommended, amended, whatever, and then finally go to City Council. That was the last direction from City Council based on the meeting of December 15th. And so I've heard from 2 subcommittee members. I need to hear from the 3rd whether or not they are interested in being on this task force, but we can only have 2 representatives. So I'll follow up in a reminder email, but that's where we are in that project.
Donna, if I could suggest, in the absence of an affirmative email from that 3rd subcommittee member, why don't you just go ahead and assume that the 2 that positively replied would be our representatives, if that's okay with the other person who I don't know which it is.
I'll follow up after the meeting.
Okay, whatever.
Okay, thank you.
I don't have a report, but I have a question, if I may, regarding Halsey House. Are we allowed to go backwards and ask a question about that? Right, and I can always put it into an email, but does it have any Native American significance? I know that there are artifacts that were shown there, but I don't know.
That should be set in a question because it's not really on the
Okay.
agenda. We're just giving an update. We're
Okay.
giving a subcommittee update. So please send those
Got it. I'll
questions
send
through
it
to
to you.
Donna.
Okay.
You're on mute, Chair Lindemeyer.
Any more updates? Oh, okay. Potential future agenda items.
Thank you. 2 items that are were originally listed for February 10th was that the commission had requested an update on the park plan action, on the parks plan action plan, in terms of what projects have been completed and what are left. And then the other one was an update on the parks and facilities maintenance. Both those were going to be given by Manny Hernandez. Given that we have direction from City Council to address the Halsey House topic, I am recommending that we postpone those 2 items and dedicate the February meeting totally to the Halsey House.
Yeah, I agree.
Okay. Any other future items? Okay. All right, well noted.
Okay, anything else? Okay, meeting adjourned.
Thanks, everybody. Good meeting. Thank you,
Thank
Chair.
you,
You did a great
everybody.
job. Very
Thank
efficient
you.
tonight.
Great
Thanks, everyone.
job.
Great
Nice
job.
to meet
Happy New
you.
Year.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Good night, all.
Good night.
Good night. Bye.